Ismail Abu Shhadi grew up in a house just off Ajami Street, near the old city, and his father had an orange grove nearby.
My father was an orange merchant. He'd farm and buy oranges and then export them. As young boys, we'd see our dad wearing a jacket, a turban like this. He'd strut around and we'd say, "Hey, Dad must be making a profit." And what was a profit? It meant he was able to send abroad about 20,000 boxes. One box would make a profit of 22 or 23 shillings. The shilling. Should I show it to you? This shilling used to buy 60 eggs. 60 eggs with 1 shilling. When I used to have a shilling, I'd walk around town all puffed up. A man who has a shilling can go into a restaurant and have 1/4 kilo of grilled meat and a glass of milk and 2 pieces of bread, and he'd only pay a shilling. It's no exaggeration, it's the truth.
Who knows when Jaffa first started to send its oranges abroad, but it is one of the oldest ports in the world, and it remained the main port of Palestine until the first half of the 20th century. A model of a 3-master dominates Haj Mohammed Sukr's apartment in the Fakhani district of Beirut, where many Palestinian refugees live. It reminds him of his proudest days when he literally sailed out from Jaffa across the Mediterranean.
We used to voyage in ships like this. We'd carry 300 tons from Egypt, from Port Said, from Alexandria to Palestine, to Haifa to Jaffa. Then we would carry on to Beirut, and from Beirut to Cyprus, then from Cyprus to Turkey, and from Turkey to Greece. Then the wind went out of the sailing business, and we made small boats, 10 to 15 meters.
In the first decades of the 20th century, the port and the old city would have worked together just as they had done in centuries before. And most of the people who lived in the warren of cramped streets would have had some business connection to the port. But by then, the elite land-owning families, who dominated the financial and cultural life of the city, had escaped the crowds and noise and built themselves grand, open and modern houses along Ajami Street and the streets leading off it. There was one tradition, though, that they refused to leave behind: keeping things in the family. The Gharghours developed their small local businesses into an international enterprise, one that still operates today by building on the principles of dynasty.
In 1928, my uncle Habib, my grandfather, and my father created a company called T. Gharghour Fils. And then they started there working like everybody else, taking the agencies for shipping agent and export agent and import agency. And that's how they started in Jaffa. When they intermarried, the family grew and we all grew together. My father was married to his cousin. My uncle Habib was married to a Araq Tinji lady, Damaris Araq Tinji. Alambi was married to a Jallad lady. And Rita was married to George Damiani.
The Damianis were said to be the richest family in Palestine, but their wonderful houses around Ajami Street were confiscated by the Israeli government after the Nakba. And the Damiani soap factory in the old city is now an empty shell.
We were with the Damiani family. We were like one family. We lived together all years. Our childhood, adulthood, and everything together. We had many people, De Garou, Palamos, Alonso. I can name hundreds of families here.
Fakhrij Day is one of the very few of this privileged class to remain in Jaffa after the Nakba. In his 80s, he still works with his son in the family pharmacy on Ajami Street, which was founded by his father in 1924. The interior of the pharmacy has not changed since then.
In the afternoon, the pharmacy was a meeting place for the personalities of Jaffa who came to speak socially but mostly political. The social atmosphere, this political atmosphere at that time, this attracts me more and gave me roots of nobility, of what was Jaffa.
And it was these elite families who developed Jaffa into an international center, a focus of trade and finance, culture and ideas. It was said that a book would be written in Cairo, published in Beirut, and read in Jaffa.
We have five press, 5 newspapers. فلسطين، الدفاع، الشعب، الصراط المستقيم، الوحدة. We have 10 magazines issued in Jaffa. So many poets, actors came, singers came to Jaffa.
Did you have actors and singers from other countries?
Sabah came.
Sabah.
Sabah.
And how about Kulthum and Abdul Wahab?
Kulthum, Abdul Wahab came.
Big international stars like Kulthum would come to Jaffa to sing their songs of love and national pride. The clock tower end of Ajami Street and the streets leading off it became somewhere you could enjoy a good evening out.
This roundabout was not here. The square went straight into a small street called Bustras, the nicest street in Jaffa, where there was a nightclub. Look, in those days I was a young boy. I wasn't allowed to go into places like that, places where there was alcohol, girls and dancing. It was called Al-Zarafiyya. Behind the English bank was a cinema. It was called Al-Sharq, and it didn't have a roof. It was only a cinema at night. It was really nice.
And it wasn't at all uncommon for the people of Jaffa to seek diversion in the new city next door. Tel Aviv was being created at high speed for and by Jews from Europe, and it offered an air of personal freedom that was rare in socially conservative Jaffa.
Our people were quite strict. If the young people wanted to go out with girls and sit together in a cafe, they would go to Tel Aviv. Because in Jaffa it wasn't really allowed. If you were to mix with girls, then you had to get engaged.
كنا شباب نروح نتفرج على بنات اليهود.
So us young men, we'd go and look at the Jewish girls.
محدش يعرف. نتسلل.
Yes, of course, very shameful, but no one knew.
يشوف.
Just to look. We'd see the girls and they'd see us.
في مرات نعرف بعض. أصحاب.
We'd sometimes get to know each other as friends. On the seashore, they'd sell ice cream, hummus, fool. We'd share things like that. But we were young men raised right, not rude young men. We were raised to know right from wrong. We were respectable. These days, girls don't get shy and boys don't get ashamed. No one gets shy.